Hey, how we doing, Taryl?
Oh, it's you, Ronnie.
Got the best opportunity coming for you.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Check it out. Oh, wait, let me turn it around.
This engine runs without oil to demo a new chemical for engines. We need reps.
Yeah, and guess what? That's where you come in. A rep.
So what? You're hawking some snake oil now?
Whoa, 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 this ain't no snake oil. It's good stuff. Slime 25 and a half.
It's a weird name.
Yeah, well, it's better than regular engine oil.
Would they name it after you?
I don't think so. Here, let me just show you how it works. All right, fire this up. The recoil's a little stiff.
You got any strength in them arms?
Yeah, come on, give me a minute.
It's not starting.
Oh, maybe I gotta put it on choke.
Even got weak fingers.
I don't want to hurt my hand. Do you got a pair of pliers?
Does this engine even run? It looks like it hasn't run in 30, 40 years.
I'm pretty sure it does.
How are you going to be able to sell this product when this engine doesn't even run?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you could give me a hand.
You know what, Ronnie? Let me just take that engine in the back and I'll get it running.
Oh, you do that for me?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, great. Well, actually, I gotta go back to the corporate office for a meeting, so when you get this done, just give me a holler and I'll come back and pick it up.
All right. Go away and come back later and I'll have this thing running. All right, go.
All right.
Slither away, snake oil man.
I don't think so.
Pterodactyl here, and today we're gonna get this here snake oil demonstration engine going. So I did a little research on this, and the product that they used in this wasn't Slime 25 3/4 or whatever Ronnie called it. It's Slick 50. This was a Slick 50 demonstrator engine. And we'll show you a picture of the one. This has got a clear cover on here so you could see in there. So we're gonna get this thing running first, and then I'm gonna pull it apart. We're gonna take a look at the rod cap and all that stuff, and we're gonna look at the cylinder. We'll pull the head, but first we'll get it running. But before I do anything, I'm gonna wash it, because look at it, it's nasty. So let's take it outside, give it a good pressure scrubbing, and then we'll see if it's got spark. It seems like it's got compression, because the way Ronnie was pulling it with his little noodle-like arms. Yeah, his little noodle-like arms, we'll check it for spark, see if it's got spark, and if it does, we'll put some dinosaur juice in there and see if we can fire it up, fire it up, fire it up! So let's give it a wash. Alright, I got it washed as best I could. So we're going to talk about the engine that Slick 50 used as their demonstrator engine. So they used a 2 horsepower brakes and scrap 'em engine. Look at that. It's even got the brakes and scrap 'em sticker on there. So this is the motor that they would use as a demonstrator. So we want to find out what the code date is on it. So I know it's like older than electronic ignition because it doesn't, this engine still got points in it. It doesn't have anything that says magnetron or that on it. So we need to find the date code, which is going to be on this blower shroud. All right, here it is over here. All right. So there's the date code, and the first 2 digits are 82. So this is a 1982 brake and scrap 'em engine. So this was probably, I think in 83 is when they started going with the electronic ignition. Now the cool thing about this engine is this Lexan side cover they made. Now this one looks like it's got a crack in it. a little bit. But this is the cool part, is how they made this Lexan or plexiglass sump cover so that they could show you it had no oil in it and when it was running. So you can see there's still some snake oil in there. So I found a whole article online about this engine, and we're going to show you a picture of it to prove that this is the same engine that they used. And then the story explains all about that Slick 50, which we'll get into later. So what we first want to do is see if it's got spark, so we can see if we can get it running. And then if we get it running, we'll run it for, get it hot. We'll drain that snake oil out of there, and then we'll run it some more and see if it stays running. And then I'll go over what I found in that article, and then you'll be, okay, that makes sense now. And we'll talk about that. I'm trying to get it so the cameraman can see it. All right, get over here so I can pull on it. So this is the only way to kill it. Is it sparking? No spark, huh? Okay, so we'll have to pull this cover off, pull the flywheel. But before we do that, oh man, this thing is. Let's take a peek in the gas tank. Oh, can't even get the cap. That's not coming off. I'm gonna have to squeeze it. Maybe, there we go. I saw it moving. Didn't you see it moving? This tank is probably garbage. What did I do with my flashlight? I just say, here it is. Oh, it's not too bad. I think it's rotted all the way through. I can see daylight in that corner. All right. Well, we can put some Taryl Putty on there and we'll blow the rust out of it just so we can get it going. All right, so I'm going to pull this shroud off. Boy, everything is rusted on this thing. I'm afraid I'm going to snap this bolt off. I don't want to break it off, but it might. It don't seem like it wants to come. Try to work it back and forth. Try a little WD. Woo! Woo! Snap! Psych! Alright, got that out. Let's hope the other ones come out. Alright, we'll take them out by hand. Like I said, we'll run it with no oil in it for a little bit. And then we'll, if we can get it running, and we'll pop that side cover off. We'll look in the cylinder. We'll look at the rod, the crankshaft, and the cap. And then since I'll have this off, don't want the crud in there. We'll clean that out. We'll spray a little gel lube in here, which we sell in our, we sell in our online store. We'll spray a little of this on the spring. Spray some in that hole. Now we'll check this. This seems to have been pretty free. There's a little wick in the end of this hole here for those of you who don't know. So we'll spray a little on there. Saturate that wick. I'll take the screen off as soon as I find the right socket here. As you can see, this isn't an electronic ignition coil. If it was electronic ignition coil, this area here would have been filled with the same epoxy plastic, and that would be your electronic ignition module, would be all in this area. So that's how I know that it's still got points. Now whenever you do this with these starter clutches, you put these screws back in once you take the screen off. Otherwise, sometimes when you take this off, this cap pops off and then all those little bearings in there fall out. It should be dry inside there. You don't want to put any lubricant under this cover. Those balls in there are supposed to move in there free. So you don't put grease, because I've seen people put grease and I've seen where they took it apart and oiled it. All that does is make those balls stick. You want them to freewheel. Alright, I'll get my starter clutch tool and we'll pull that off. Starter clutch tool. In case you want one, there's the part number. The Briggs and Scrap, Brakes and Scrap 'em part number. 19244. So this is the only part that you want lubed, is this part that rides on this shaft. You don't want to put any lubricant under this cover. There's a little wick down in the end of that. And that's what keeps this lubricated. Now this is rusty. We don't want that rusty. We want that nice and shiny and clean. So you could take a Scotch-Brite or some sandpaper. If you ever have one of these Brakes and Scrap 'em engines and it starts squealing real loud, and it starts shooting the rope out, that's because this thing is sticking to the shaft. And it's kicking the rope out. And then when you shut it off, a lot of times it sucks the rope in and busts it. Here's our knockoff tool. I don't have the part number for that, but that fits over the shaft. It's got brass in it. And then with a pry bar, find a good spot to pry on it. Put some pressure on it and give it a good sharp blow on the end of it. And that's how you take flywheels off. Easy peasy.
You just ruined that engine. I'm sorry to tell you this, Taryl, but you just wrecked that engine. You just ruined it. I'm shutting this video off. Turn it off. I'm not watching this guy. You just wrecked that engine. You use a puller on it. Should always use a puller.
Oh, okay. Then why did Briggs make that tool then? Explain that to me.
Well, now you're making me even more mad. I'm gonna shut the video off. Not.
Oh, look at what we got in there. Looks like there's some of that snake oil in there. Now I've got videos that shows you how to replace these points and condenser. You can look them up. We probably just have to clean them. I'm just going to take the top half off right here. Boom. That was 55-gallon drum. Speaking, burping. They're not too bad. This demo engine doesn't have a whole lot of time on it. I wonder if that oil came up through the points plunger. Oh. Points plunger. Now the points plunger's got a little groove on it. That always goes up. You want the little groove up. It's groovy, baby. That's a groovy groove, baby. Alright. Put this back on. Fit that in a little notch. Locked into that little notch. There we go. See, the wire goes around that post. There's a little notch in the back of the points. And then I used to get the spring on to hook it on, I use this as like a little lever. It's easier with the condenser out. But that's how it should look. Alright, now we want to turn it over and see if our points are opening and closing. And that oil is from this seal. This seal's bad. That's where that oil came out of. But we're not going to replace that seal because we just want to see if this thing runs. I could always come back and replace it later if I decide to do something with this engine. They look like 20,000s. They're opening and closing. Now I'm going to give them a snap when they're closed. And then take a piece of paper when they're closed. And that's how we're going to clean them. Alright. We'll put this back on. Put it all back together. And then we'll see if we got spark. What did I do with those screws for the points cover? Oh, I took those stupid straps off they had on there too. Get them out of the way. Alright, I'll find the screws. Okay, I sanded the rust off the magnet. I sanded the legs on the coil. I took off that rusty spark plug terminal, crimped on a new one. Anything, you know, to help stop any kind of resistance to the ignition. And then we'll see if we got spark. I'll just stick these in, maybe a couple of threads to speed things along. Alright, Mr. Cameraman, get over there. Can you see that spark tester? Well, I gotta get over here. Alright, now we got it. Ready? Let's see if we got spark. Oh yeah. Seems decent. Doesn't seem real strong, but we'll find out in a second here. We'll put a new plug in it, CJ8. That's the short one. You can put a J19L on it here, but it sits a little higher, and then the little kill thing doesn't work as good. So it's better to use the CJ8. I'll take the air cleaner off. We'll spray a little carb spray in there, like starting fluid, and we'll see if it'll run and die. Then we'll have to tackle the gas tank. Let's get a look at this air cleaner. Look. Yeah, I like when they're like that, all mushy, like sponge cake. Here, you want some, Mr. Cameraman? Want some sponge cake? Here, have some sponge cake. Come on, take a bite. All right, now this thing was stuck. Look, I'm able to get it. Ronnie's little toothpick fingers couldn't get it out. It's all gummed up. It's all gummy, like a gummy worm, like a gummy bear. All right, I'm gonna blow a little air in there because I think there was a little bit of water or something in there from when I tilt it down like this. Get out of the way. Yeah. A little water in there from when we pressure scrubbed it. All right. Give it a good shot. Let's see what happens. Woo! It's gonna run. Let's shoot some more in there. Give it a good blast. This is the throttle. Feels like it's got compression on. Try pulling the choke. There it goes. Woo, woo! Whoa! Sure is making a lot of racket. But that's what we want. We want the racket. Alright, let me take the tank off. It's only 2 screws. And they're coming out. It's a real simple carburetor. Let's see. See where it all rotted through? And there's a bunch of rust in there. Just watch. See, a lot of rust. But there's still some shiny metal in there. So I'll mix up some Taryl putty. We'll putty it up. All we got to do is make sure that this screen is clear. This is, like I said, a real simple carburetor. We'll take this high speed out. And we'll take out the little brass nozzle that's behind it. I think I got the actual jet screwdriver for this from Brakes and Scrap 'em. Yeah, came right out. Take that out. That's actually looks clear. Oh yeah, I can see light through it. So we'll just blow through that. Let me put that in a spot where I don't lose it, because I like to lose everything. Stick it all right there. Spray some car spray through here. And through here. Yep. It's coming out through there, which is what we want. Is this stuck? Oh yeah, that's probably another reason it was running so poorly. It was running at idle. We need to get this freed up. go. Just need a little help me, Rhonda.
Help me, Rhonda, help me, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda, yeah. Loosen up that throttle shaft.
That Rhonda, she comes in handy. She's very helpful.
Help me, Rhonda, help me, Rhonda.
Still a little sticky.
Sticky.
It'll run without that gas tank on it. Want to see? I probably blasted a bunch of that stuff in there. Come on, baby. There we go. Woo! She throttled up that time. Woo, 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 woo! Throttled up. All right, let me scuff this up real good. Turn that fan on, or carbon monoxide gets us. Oh yeah, look at that, I'm uncovering more holes. Yeah, it's all rotted all down here. Give it a good scrubbing. Put some putty on there. Taryl Putty. Again, you can buy in our online store. We'll let it set up. We'll take a little break. I'll mix up the putty. I'll put a tank on, put some gas in it, and run this snake oil engine. Alright, I got the Taryl Putty, again, which we sell in our online store. This is almost like an infomercial, don't it? Feels like an infomercial. So you cut some off. And I like to wear latex gloves when I do this. And then make sure you cover it over good with the plastic that's on there. And that'll make it stay fresh when you stick it back in the tube. And it's just a 2-part epoxy putty. Now sometimes you'll get a little hard spot from where you cut it the last time. You may just have to shave that crunchy part off, I call it. And then you just knead it. Knead it together. Now it wants to stick to your fingers sometimes. So if you get a little container with some water in it, that'll keep it from sticking to your fingers, and it won't ruin the putty. It won't affect it, you know. So knead it up real good so it mixes. And it dries pretty quick. And it's gas resistant, and it can take a lot of heat. We use it when we have stuff powder coated. We use it like a Bondo. And then we can send it to the powder coater, and it won't, you know, it won't melt out under the high heat. Looks like there's some pinholes there too, so I'm really gonna have to smush it around to make sure I get it all covered. See, it's sticking a little bit to my fingers, so get a little water on there. Check around, make sure there's no other holes. Kind of hard to see. And we'll let that harden up for a little bit. We'll take a break from filming. Because remember, it's just a lawnmower engine. It's not the space shuttle. Like my shirt. Hey, you like my shirt? Again, online store. Oh boy, it's like,
He has no shame. He has no shame.
well, you want these products, don't you? A lot of people want this stuff. It comes in handy. It's not like we're selling hair care products or something. Or a toothbrush. We sell that too in our online store. Toothbrush. We don't sell hair care products though. Alright, let me make sure that that's not some pinholes there either. I don't want to get this back together and yeah, look at that. That's a hole. And then gas is pouring out. Alright, I'll have to mix up some more putty. But you get the idea. I'll check it around. Almost like a dentist when he takes that tool. And I got one of them tools. Let me poke around like a dentist. Not that I know what a dentist does. Looking at my teeth. Poke around like a dentist. Oh yeah, think of this gas tank as a tooth, and it's got cavities, and I'm filling it. But instead of silver amalgam, I'm using Taryl putty. That's what maybe dentists should start using that stuff. Not the guy dentist, but dentists. So as I was waiting for the Taryl putty to harden up on me, I started looking at this crank seal on here, on this plastic cover they got. And I just tugged on it and it came right off. It doesn't really sit in there too well. There's a little bit of a lip. So I sanded the end of the crankshaft, kind of cleaned it up. But let me see if I can take my... This is a axle tool for installing seals on an axle on a tough torque. Because it's a ball bearing crank they used. That's the engine they chose, which was a good choice. So I may have to get that seal in there better. I may have to put something around that. Some kind of good adhesive to that plastic. But hey, they were running it without oil. What difference does it make? But that's how much putty I ended up putting on there. I ended up uncovering a bunch of other holes. I hope it's starting to harden up now. I'll put a little bit of gas in it here in about 15-20 minutes, see if it leaks. And then we can move on. Moving on. Remember that show? Moving On? It was about truckers. Okay, got the gas tank sealed up, back on. And I went and found a good used gas cap. I hope it seals. So now let's,
Fire it up.
Woo! Second pull. Well, it runs. So let's take it outside, let it run. We'll get it hot. We'll drain all this snake oil out of it. It sounds pretty bad now. I took some super glue and I put super glue around this seal, and I put some around that, and I put some on them cracks. So maybe that'll slow down or stop any kind of oil leak. But it sounds pretty tired already. It's making some kind of engine noise. Well, let's run it and see what happens. We'll run it, get it hot. I'll drain that crap that's in there out, and then we'll run it. see if it locks up or throws a rod or... So this is the oil level of what's in there now. I have no idea what's in there. I'm just assuming it's that Slick 50. So we're gonna run it, get the engine hot, drain that out, and then we're gonna run it again. That's hot enough, and I guess I missed a couple of holes. That's real. It's peeing all that gas out. Guess I missed a couple pinholes. All right, let's drain that crap out of there. This tank is ruined. It's got so many holes. I missed this one here. So I looked around the shop, and I found another tank. And look at the gas. Looks like Tang. Drink some Tang. But it's still good gas. Just rust-colored gas. Oh, this tank uses a different gas cap. All right, I have to find a cap to fit that. And then we'll just go ahead and drain out what's in here. That's why they got this cut away. Let me get something to drain that into. I think I got a pan over here. It was already loose. Let me take this off. Should come out faster. There we go. Let that drip, and I'll go find a cap that'll fit that. So as you can see, there's no oil in it. Drained her all out. Well, I ran about 4 minutes and it stopped, but it's not locked up. So let's see if we can get it started again. Probably that dirty fuel I poured in there. Yeah, it keeps locking up. So yeah, lack of lubrication. Snake oil, what did I tell you? Yeah, it's locking up. All right, time to tear it down now. Now that article that we're going to show you, and you can read through it, that I found online, explained what they used in that Slick 50, which is Teflon powder or Teflon flakes. So in that article it explains how DuPont found out that Slick 50 was using that with oil, and they said it's not intended to be mixed with motor oil. So we're going to stop selling it to you. And then the Slick 50 people sued DuPont to let them sell it back to them. And they won. So they were able to buy the Teflon again. So Briggs found out, Briggs and Stratton, or Break and Scrap 'em, found out that they were buying these engines and they were running that Slick 50 in them. So Briggs pulled 2 engines off the line and ran braking oil in them, drained them out, ran that Slick 50 in it, drained it out, and then let the engines run. Well, Briggs had already known that these engines would run, it says in that article, about 20 hours before they'd lock up. Isn't that something? So obviously this engine was probably used pretty extensively to sell that snake oil. But it doesn't work. Teflon and oil don't mix. So read that little article I found online explaining about all this. Very interesting. And I seen Project Farm Animal, he tested this stuff too. He took a couple of push mowers, similar, with Briggs brakes and Scrap 'em engines on them, and same result. Ran that Slick 50 in it, drained it out, and then ran them, and both engines locked up. All right, this thing's hot. I don't want to break this cover. I want to try to save this cover. This is the coolest part of this whole thing. Is the cover. If I can get it off without wrecking it. A little tight on those locating pins. Unless it's this board it's on. Oh, here we go. We're getting it. We're getting it. That bearing. There we go. Got her off. That's that Lexan cover they made for it. It's got a little needle bearing in there. Yow, is that thing hot. Need a rag or something. Or a glove. Take the plug out. This thing is hot. Pulled it in right out of the... Plus it's only about 100 degrees outside too on top of it. Oh, look at that. Look at the rod bolts are loose. They're already loose. The tabs are bent over and they're loose. They're all stretched out. Poor little engine. Those people torturing you over there at Slick 50. Little guy, little 2-horse guy. Kind of hard to get in there. Bend them tabs back. You got a cameraman hovering over you too. That don't help. Can't get that socket on there. Try this little 7/16 guy. Push down on that dipper. Man, that thing is hot. Let me get a longer screwdriver. Maybe that'll be, I can get them tabs bent over if I reach out a little further. Use an open end wrench. That dipper's in the way. Yep. You know, they made a movie, very good movie, I thought, called Dark Waters. And it's about Teflon and how bad that stuff is. It causes birth defects. You know, remember they were touting that Teflon and they were putting it in everything. It's almost like asbestos. Remember we had our cooking pans all had that Teflon in it? Well, guess what? We all have that chemical in our body now. Thanks to DuPont. They got sued over that. They lost. But you know what? They still make that Teflon. It's bad stuff. Check that movie out, Dark Waters. True story. Woo! Well, there's the cap. And you know what that's from? Lack of lubrication. There's no miracle oil with Teflon in it. The Teflon will not stick to any metal parts. That's the problem. It's just Teflon floating around in oil. It will not stick to the metal parts to keep it slippery. But I guess they thought it was going to work, and they thought, you know what, we'll just sell it anyway. They still sell that stuff today. I don't know if Teflon is still in it. Wrong side. Hot, hot, hot. right. What do we got here? Let's see if I can get the piston out. Like I said, everything is hot. So here's the piston that's stuck on the head gasket. And it's hot. Yow. So let's take a look. The piston isn't scuffed. Too bad. It's all on the connecting rod. And on the crank journal. Crank journal doesn't seem too bad. Doesn't seem to be a lot of aluminum transfer. Where's my flashlight at? It was around here a second ago. Try this light. There's the crank journal. I guess I could pull the crank out and get a closer look at it, but it's got some, you know, I'm sure it's out around a little bit. It feels a little bumpy. Yeah, it feels a little lumpy and bumpy. And the bore, how does the bore look? What happened to that flashlight? Dang nabbit. Oh, it's on the floor. All right, let's look at the board. Not bad. There's one score mark on this side. Let me spin it around. It's not really a deep score. You can get a better look at that journal, I think, now. Can't you, Mr. Cameraman? Where the connecting rod goes. So yeah, this demonstrator motor, I'm sure they went through these things. I'm sure the sales guy, oh, mine's starting to knock. Got that snake oil in there, it's starting to knock. All right, so there you have it, a little interesting piece of history here. We got this old engine that was used as a demonstrator model for Slick 50 snake oil product with the clear side cover, which is, this is the coolest thing in the whole engine. We got it running again. It was making noise, a racket, because those rod bolts were loose. And we drained the snake oil out of there. There's some silicone that was in there. And we fired it up, and it ran, what, 4 or 5 minutes maybe? And then it started locking up, shutting her down. Because none of that crap works. I like this though. I might find a 3-horse motor. This is the same as 3-horse, a 2-horse, 3-horse. I might find me a 3-horse motor, a good one. Maybe drill some holes in here, put some LED lights. Maybe I can get this cover to light up. And I'll put this on another engine, like a 3-horse motor. And put it on a mini bike. That'd be cool. And then it would light up. Then you can see the motor running in there. I think that'd be neat. I might do that down the road, as if I ain't got enough projects to do. So, subscribe to this YouTube channel, Taryl Fixes All. Go to our web store, buy some of these products I mentioned today. They're good products, I use them a lot. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram with your snake oil engines. And as always, there's your dinner. Woo! Snake oil engine! Woo! I can't wait to see what Ronnie has to say when he comes back to get this.
All right, you got me all fixed up. I got Gordy across the street. He said he's interested.
Oh, well, I got some good news and I got some bad news.
Oh, really? Okay, well, what's the good news?
The good news is that crap don't work.
Oh, I don't know about that. I'm pretty sure it does.
And the bad news is that crap ruined this engine.
Oh, what did you do to my engine?
I didn't do anything to it. That snake oil, that 25 and 7/8.
Oh, that engine was running and working great until you got your hands on it.
That motor didn't run when you brought it in here. You couldn't get it started.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure I had it going a couple days ago.
The gas tank was all rusted out. It had no spark. The carburetor was all gummed up.
That's not my tank. I didn't have all this stuff on there.
That's what I used to try to fix it. I had to put a different tank on it. Then I drained out your snake oil because it says it would run with no oil. It ran about 4 minutes, and that's what happened. It ruined it.
Well, I'm pretty sure that you messed it up.
No, this thing is garbage. And that crap you're hawking is garbage too. You want this engine back, you owe me money.
Oh. Okay, well, I left my wallet out in the truck, so I'm gonna have to go out there and get it.
Yeah, well, go get the money if you want this back.
Okay, yeah. I'll be back in a minute.
Running to get that money. Let me look on the cameras here and see what he's doing. Alright, he's getting in his truck. And it doesn't look like he's grabbing a wallet. He's driving away! He took off! That scumbag! Ah, he left that engine here. Well, at least I got the side cover. This is the only part I wanted anyway. It's the only thing worth anything. Update Dessert 2022 on the Slick 50 engine. I put it all back together. That's right, and I used the existing crankshaft and connecting rod. Yeah, put that worn crank and connecting rod still in it. It wanted to rip the threads out of the connecting rod. That was probably from it locking up and unlocking. That's why that connecting rod cap was loose. So I had to drill it out and Healy coil the connecting rod 1/4 and tightened it back up. Then I tried to seal up this cover as best I could. It still kind of weeps a little bit of oil weeps out of it. And I fixed the existing gas tank, sealed up all the holes with the putty, and then I sealed it on the inside. And then I added some LED lights to it. So I was going to put this on a mini bike, but it probably wouldn't last. This thing would probably leak and then it would probably fall apart. Plus, when you put a clutch on it and a chain guard, I'd have to make like a Lexan chain guard and stuff, and you wouldn't be able to see any of this. So I'm going to leave it the way it is. That way it's kind of a novelty thing, and then you can watch the oil splash around in there. So, let's, as Elkskin says,
Fire it up, fire it up, fire it up.
where is he? All right, let's fire it up. Like my light? I got a little generator. That's cool. Watching that oil splash around. These old Briggs engines, man, you can't beat them. The old ones, the new ones, they're crap. But these old ones, look at that. It's got that old clankety-clank connecting rod and crankshaft in there, and it's still running. Brakes and scrapping. And there's your dessert. Update 2022 Slick 50 engine.